Canada, the second largest country in the world, occupies most of the northern half of North America, from the United States in the south to the Arctic Circle in the north. Canada is a country of great distances and rich natural resources. Canada was occupied for millennia by indigenous peoples prior to the arrival of Europeans. The First Nations and Inuit possess a very diverse culture. European explorers first entered the area between 15 and 30,000 years ago, when early humans traveled across a land bridge from Asia to North America. Around AD 1000, Norse explorer Leif Erikson visited Newfoundland and attempted to establish a settlement, but it failed. In the early 16th century, European exploration on Canada's east coast began with England's John Cabot. Between 1534 and 1542, French explorer Jacques Cartier made 3 trips across the Atlantic, claiming the territory for King Francis I of France. In his journeys, Cartier encountered 2 guides who employed the Iroquoian word Kanata, which means village. By the 1550s, the word Canada started appearing on maps. The region was colonized in part by France and Great Britain. The French settled Port Royal in Acadia in 1605 under Samuel de Champlain, who began to colonize Quebec 3 years later. The French and the natives further developed a vast fur trade upon European demand for beaver pelts. Jean Talon, Bishop Laval, and Count Frontenac were among the influential leaders who made significant contributions towards the formation of a French colonial empire in North America from Hudson Bay to the Gulf of Mexico. During the 1700s, France and Great Britain vied to control North America. In 1759, the British, with their victory at the Battle of the Plains of Abraham at Quebec City, essentially brought the French colonial adventure to a close in the continent. Both Brigadier James Wolfe and the Marquis de Montcalm were killed in action as commanding officers. Following the war, Great Britain rechristened the region the province of Quebec. Even when under British rule, the Catholic French-speaking inhabitants, typically called habitants or Canadians, attempted to preserve their cultural ways in an English-speaking Protestant empire. After the American Revolution, many residents of the newly independent United States were still British loyalists, and in the thousands they moved north and settled in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario. The United States attempted to invade and conquer Canada in the War of 1812, but was repelled. In 1867, the province of Canada joined with New Brunswick and Nova Scotia in confederation to form a self-governing state, known simply as Canada. Canadian soldiers fought for the British Empire during the First World War, and more Canadians were killed during that war than in any other. The nation's identity was further established after successfully capturing strategic territory from German and French forces in 1917. Women were granted the right to vote at the close of the war, in part due to their useful service on the home front, such as manufacturing weapons while the men were abroad. Canada became fully independent in 1931 when the British Parliament passed the Statute of Westminster, stating that Canada was an equal member of the Commonwealth and that it had virtually complete legislative independence. Canada's factories produced war equipment for Canada, Britain, China, and the Soviet Union during World War II, and its economy thrived. Canada ended the war with a strong military and economy despite another Quebec conscription crisis in 1944. The 1960s also saw the Quiet Revolution in Quebec, which overturned centuries-old bases of power centered around the Roman Catholic Church and reshaped the province's economy. Around the same time, Canada embraced the maple leaf as its national flag, after much controversy and resistance on the part of most English Canadians. In 1981, the Canadian House of Commons and Senate passed a resolution asking the British Parliament to pass constitutional amendments that would terminate its remaining powers over Canada and establish a uniquely Canadian process for amending the Constitution. The capital of Canada is Ottawa, and its three largest metropolitan regions are Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. While the nation is mostly covered by forests and tundra, its population is very urbanized, with over 80% of its people living in large cities and medium-sized urban areas along the southern border. Thank you for watching.